The Man with No Name, Silas Greaves, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, Killian Samuels, Dante from Devil May Cry, Solomon Kane, Zaid, Masani, Red Harlow, and Lobo. These are those who inhabit a occupation which lacks typical convention. In fact, I find this to be... Well, yeah, no, these are very interesting characters, and mainly because they are either bounty hunters and or mercenaries. And I thought I would just do a video about why I think the bounty hunter is such an interesting archetype and character field, or just a character in general to write about. Because sometimes it feels like they don't get enough love. Like, every time we get a chance at the bounty hunter game, it gets scrapped for some reason. So, today, this video is as follows, and I have some notes here for that. I've been a fan of bounty hunters for a while. If I'd have to make an estimation, probably since middle school, around 2005, 2006. Mostly because I find them to be interesting characters. The 5 on the screen are prime examples of the type, though there are more. I just didn't have enough room for them in the PowerPoint. Other examples would include, as mentioned, Dante and Solomon Kane. They're more supernatural, and the 5 on here are mainly Western science fiction bounty hunters. But another reason would be something I've pointed out in in a BitChute video, that it's partially the aesthetic of the bounty hunter and mercenary character. Just look at Jango Fett, Boba Fett, and Dante, for example. All 3 look badass. Same with Killian Samuels. They look, out of place. They look cool, but they don't look like people you would see in normal society, which is kind of why I like them. A third reason would also be the moral ambiguity of a bounty hunter and mercenary. Their morality often depends on precisely the individual involved that you're dealing with. Good, bad, ugly, or in the middle. It can be a mixed bag. At other times, they are neither benevolent or malevolent. As another YouTuber once stated, they can merely be people doing their job and trying to get by. That's not an exact quote, that's me paraphrasing. But, yeah, that's also something that I find interesting. A fourth and more personal reason would be the loner status the bounty hunters and mercenaries possess. They have some participation in society, but they do not involve themselves with it as most average people at times do. At times, they are also despised by people in society, such as law enforcement or snobs who see them as nothing more than thugs for hire. And they just do a job that's dirty, that no one else will do, or can't do. And unlike most people, they have the balls and the stomach for it. And also, they just make good anti-heroes, which I love. I think anti-heroes are more interesting characters than heroes. And a bounty hunter... I just like the idea of hunting down criminals and bringing them to jail, dead or alive. That's kind of why it's kind of sad we never get many games like that. The closest we've gotten to a bounty hunter game like that was... Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Red Dead Redemption, Call of Juarez, Gunslinger... And those are the only ones I know. There's probably more, I'm probably forgetting one, but And yeah, I just find them interesting because they can be all types of people and personality. Like the Man with No Name doesn't say much. Whenever he does say something, it's very provocative. Dante can be a wisecracking trash talker. Solomon Kane is a fanatical Puritan with a binary moral code, which I like with him. He's the exception to the rule. Another one would be, Killian Samuels, there wasn't much because Prey 2 got canceled because Bethesda were being dicks. But from what little audio I've heard, it sounds like he was a nice guy, or at least he had some decent qualities to him. The Fets, they were the ultimate loner to me, to be perfectly honest. They seemed like they had little to do with society and people. In fact, they came off as very antisocial in some regard. which is why I kind of liked them. Well, no, I liked them because they looked cool. That went more to the aesthetic, but then I learned about the expanded universe and just learned more and more gradually and found them interesting and compelling characters. I mean, Django's life is kind of depressing. Like, that's another thing about bounty hunters. Their origins are either depressing because something happened to them or they did something messed up and then became bounty hunters afterwards. Like, Lobo is the prime example of someone who did something messed up and became a bounty hunter afterwards. He committed genocide on his own people. But the Fets, they're kind of like the polar opposite. They were... Well, Django, yeah, he lost his parents. He watched his adoptive father die right in front of him. He rarely had any friends. Most of them either died or he had to kill them personally. And Boba, he watched his dad lose his head. Yeah, sorry, I had to put that in there somehow. And yeah, his life was alone, basically. He was either betrayed, expected to be betrayed, or to be double-crossed, worked with scummy people like the Hutts. His wife was raped or attempted to be raped, and it was by someone he, I think, was friends with, and then he killed that man later for it. His wife, he ended up having to leave his family behind. His daughter wanted to kill him. In fact, the only member of his family who actually liked him was his dad, his ex-wife, and his granddaughter. His daughter, like, there was something wrong with her. There was something seriously messed up with her in the head. Other examples would be Silas Greaves. He won a card game, and that caused him and his brothers to be hung from a tree. The only reason he survived was because their combined weight caused the branch they were hanging on to break. And he became a bounty hunter after that. Killian Samuels, he was actually an air marshal on a plane that got abducted by aliens and then was experimented on and ended up being trapped on an alien planet called Exodus. I think it was called Exodus. And he was the only human on there for a while till the protagonist from Prairie 1 showed up. And that was going to be the story, but again, Bethesda being dicks decided to cancel it, or delay it. Dante, he is again a tragic character. Him and his brother lost their parents. Well, their dad disappeared. I have no idea what happened to Sparta. Their mother was killed by demons and they were separated during that event. And they became two different people. And Dante became a supernatural bounty hunter and mercenary, just looking to avenge his mother and kill the demons responsible, which he did in the first game. He completed his lifelong goal before he was ever 30. That's enviable, I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of us wish we could do that. Solomon King, I don't know if there was ever really an explanation for why he did what he did. I still have to read the books on him. Zaid, I know nothing about. Red Harlow, his family was killed and he became a bounty hunter to hunt down the people who killed his family. And the man with no name is just a bounty hunter who doesn't talk a lot. You never know much about why he's doing what he does. He just does it. I think. Maybe there was an explanation and I just don't know, but that's that. Another thing I just find interesting about them is they're men with a particular set of skills. And again, they're loners. They're on the fringe of society, or close to being. Some of them are. And they have a skill that isn't very useful in society. You can't just go around shooting and killing people in society. That's unacceptable. I mean, they could be hunters and people on the frontier, but that's about it. And life would be hard for them there because they'd have to hunt and do all this stuff on their own and not make as much money doing it. I mean, at least that's how I see it. So you got tragic characters. They're loners, usually anti-heroes, doing jobs that most people wouldn't dare to do because they don't have the stomach to do it, or they think it's beneath them. Yeah, that's the main reasons why I think bounty hunters are interesting. That's why I always want to write about them. I would love to write stories about them. I'd love to write comics about them. And yeah, they're just fascinating because that is a good playground for a writer to work with. Because you can make them any type of person. I mean, they can be like Elric and be halfway to being a villain. And they might still be able to work, depending on how you write them. Or portray them. And yeah, I just wanted to do this video because this is an idea I had, and I had no idea where I was going to go with it. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. If you're a bounty hunter fan, let me know in the comments what you like about bounty hunters, who your favorite bounty hunter is. If you've never really given a shit about bounty hunters, I hope this video just gave you something to think about. And also made you want to just look into bounty hunters a little bit more. Like the real world the ones in the real world aren't that interesting. They're kind of boring. There they make shitty shows. But, yeah, if you have questions about bounty hunters, put them in the comments. I can direct you to some stuff with bounty hunters in them for you to look for. Or you can find that on your own on the internet. Just do it you feel like. Have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.